Okay, guys, today I want to talk to you about using models to divide whole numbers by fractions. Last week, if you remember, we were working on multiplying fractions by whole numbers, multiplying fractions by fractions, and fractions by mixed numbers. And so we're going to start on page 147. So I'm going to turn the camera around so you can see my book. And we're going to flip it. So we're going to look on page 147. I know it's crooked. Let me fix that. Okay. And we'll fix that. And turn the slide on. Maybe I can get rid of the shadow. Awesome. Okay. So it says, how can I select tools and techniques to help me understand what it means to divide fractions? So Juan is building a set for the school musical. He has a 3-foot board that he needs to divide equally into 1/2 foot pieces. How many pieces will he have after he cuts the board? Okay, so the first thing, what do we know? We know that he has a 3-foot piece of board, right? And then we know the size of the pieces he's going to divide the board into. And what we don't know is we don't know how many pieces we're going to end up having, right? And so the first thing that we know is he has a 3-foot board that he needs to cut into 1/2 foot pieces, right? And we know 1/2 of a foot is how many inches? 6 inches? Right? Okay. And so what we're trying to find out is how many pieces he will have after he cuts the board, right? So how many pieces will he have after he cuts the board? Okay, that's what we're trying to find out, is how many pieces he's going to end up with. So it says, draw a model that represents the length of the board. So here's our board right here. Draw lines to separate the board into thirds. Okay, each third represents 1 foot, because we know it's a 3-foot board, right? And so if we divide it into 3 equal parts, right? So there would be 1, 2, 3. So those would be each 1 foot, 1 foot, 1 foot. And we want to know how many 1/2 foot pieces he can cut, right? Okay, I'm going to focus this, and then I'm going to kind of lock it in, okay? So maybe it'll stop adjusting. Okay. So we know that right here, this is 1 foot. Okay. So then, if we divide each of those again, so this would be 1/2 a foot, 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 and 1/2 a foot. And so what we did is we took each one of those thirds and divided them into halves. And then we're able to see that there are how many sections? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And so we know that there are going to be well, so 6 groups of 1/2, or there's just really going to be 6 pieces of 1/2 foot. And so 3 divided by 1/2 would give you 6. And you can check by multiplying. If you multiply 6 times 1/2, you would get 3, because 6, well, you can't see, sorry, let me use that. Because 6 of the 1/2 would give you 3 wholes. And really that's 6 over 1 times 1/2, which would be 6 times 1 is 6, 1 times 2 is 2, and 6 divided by 2 would give you 3. Okay? I like that. Okay, I'm going to tear this out, make this a little bit easier. We're going to look on the next side. On that next side, on page 148. 148 says you've got determine 4 divided by 2/3. So they have this model here where they've divided the model into 4 parts. So that would be like, you know, having your, I would consider it your 4 holes, and divided by 2/3. And so what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to divide each hole into thirds. So that means that this 1 hole I'm going to divide into 3 equal parts. There it is. And here it is. And there. And there. And then it says circle groups of 2/3 on the model. So you see, here is that 1 hole right there. Maybe it's easier if I kind of make those a little bit more obvious. Those are the 1 holes. And then there's your 1 hole here. So if you circle 2/3, 2/3, 2/3, 2/3, 2/3, 2/3, and 2/3, you would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You would have 6 groups of 2/3. So 4 divided by 2/3 would be 6. Okay. Maybe I need to zoom in a little bit. It's a little bit better for you. Okay, and it says you can check by multiplying. So what's 6 times 2/3? Well, you know that would be 6 over 1, which would be 12 over 3, and 12 divided by 3 would give you 4. Okay, so that works, doesn't it? Love it. Look at this one. You've got 2 divided by 3/4. So we have a model here of, they're showing that this is 2 holes. Here's the first one right here. And then there's the second. And then it says they divided into 4 parts. And they divided into 4 parts. Okay, over here. And when you circle 3/4 and 3/4, first, let's put that we divided this into fourths. Okay. Determine how many groups of 3/4 are in the 2 holes, right? You circle the groups of 3/4, and we ended up with how many groups? Well, we ended up with 2 groups of the 3/4, but we had 2/3 of a circled group left over. Whew, that's a little much to take in, isn't it? Okay, so if this is a circled group and it's 3/4, and here you only have 2, that's a little bit confusing. So that means that 2 divided by 3/4 would give you 2 and 2/3. Okay, we're going to look at that one. So if you had 2 and 2/3 times 3/4, we first have to make this an improper fraction. And we make that by multiplying and then adding. So 3 times 2 would be 6, plus 2 would be 6, 7, 8 thirds, right? Times 3/4. Okay. And we can multiply straight across. 3 times 4 would be 24, and I'm sorry, 8 times 3 is 24. 3 times 4 would be 12. 24 divided by 12 would give you 2. And there were 2 groups. Okay, so that does work. This one, a little bit complicated with that model, but that's okay. That's okay. So let's take a look here. So here you have this page, and you've got I think you should be good. The ones that I'm just going to go ahead and give you a heads up and tell you that 6, 7, and 8 are going to have those remainders left over, like that last one we just did, and I will be happy to help you with that. We're going to look at number 6 first. First, we've got 4. So we're going to divide it into 4 parts, which would be 4 wholes, right? And they said they're divided by 3/4. So that means that this section is going to have to be divided into 4 equal parts, okay? So that would be half. Okay, this would be half. So that's fourths, half, fourths, half, and that's fourths. So now we need to circle 3/4. Hang on a second, let me make sure I didn't do something. Yeah, okay. So we're going to circle our 3/4, right? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, right? Okay, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Now, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So we have 5 as our whole number. And then we've got this one part left over. Now this is the part that was tricky before. We have one part, even though we were circling 3/4, this is divided into 3 parts. So if you just have one of these out of this 3, you have 1/3. So this part represents, you've got the 5 wholes and you've got the 1/3 left over. Whew. If you've not ever seen this before, this is could be a little bit mind-blowing, okay? Especially if you've never done it this way. So then let's look at this one. Here we've got 5 wholes we're going to need to divide this into. 1, 2, let's make these a little bit smaller so I can have those. 1, 2, oh my goodness. Okay, I'm going to have to make one a little smaller. I need 5, not 4. How about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That looks a little bit better. And now we're going to have to divide these into thirds, okay? So this one whole I'm going to divide into thirds. That's 1, 2, 3. You see that? Here's going to be 1, 2, 3 parts. 1, 2, 3 parts. 1, 2, 3 parts. 1, 2, 3 parts. Okay? And they want us to divide it into 2/3. So that means I'm going to take 2 sections, which would be 2/3, okay? 2/3, 2/3, 2/3, 2/3, 2/3, 2/3, and I have 1 left over. So that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And this is one part of this section. Remember we were circling 2/3. But when we look at this group, it has 2 parts. And if we have one left out of that, then that means we have 7.5. All right. I'm going to go ahead and do this last one with you as well. So this one, we need to divide it into 2 wholes. And then you're going to have divided into fifths in each side. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A little off, but that's okay. I'll kind of move my hole over a little bit. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. And so we have to circle groups of 4 fifths. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right here. Lost my place. And then 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we have 2 left over. So we have 2 holes, right? And we have 2 left over. Now see, this has 1, 2, 3, 4. If you have 2 out of 4, isn't that the same as 2 1/2? Okay. Pretty interesting, huh? Now, you should be able to do 1 through 5 easily by yourself, okay? And then on the back side, I'm sorry about the barking. On the back side, I do want you to do problems 9 through 13 as well, okay? So when you look at this example, it says 3 divided by 1/3. 3 divided by 1/3. They're saying that the quotient is 9, okay? And it says, is the quotient greater than, less than, or greater than the dividend? Okay, the dividend is going to be what you started with, right? And if you have your fraction bar, and you have it divided into 3 parts, and then you divide this into thirds, right? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And then you 1/3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Your answer is 9. Okay? And so, is your answer greater than the dividend? It sure was, wasn't it? Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. It was up there. Okay? Oh, I hope you were able to see that. Okay. So you want to watch and take these notes. Hopefully you'll do that before we get together. And then I will see you guys in class.